This is Drop Your Buffs, a podcast discussing Survivor. Welcome, and this is episode 26 of Drop Your Buffs podcast, discussing now the US Survivor, talking about the upcoming Game Changers season. With me again is my good friend Craig. How's it going, Craig?
I'm good, Stu. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
How's your week going?
Pretty good.
Excellent. Good
Pretty
to
good.
hear.
Now, we were just chatting before about how you would love to be on Survivor if you're offered the chance.
No.
Is that right?
No, absolutely not.
Because we're just talking about some of these people have just come back again and again, haven't they? You know, and I don't, you know.
It's hardcore. It really is.
It is.
I mean, this is not a trivial thing to do, and to go back and do it twice, 3 times, 4 times in the case of a couple of people here,
Exactly.
It's just amazing.
Exactly.
These are people who just love this game and want to play it.
Yeah, no, and just the fact that it keeps evolving. There's been some rule changes as often happens from season to season. It's just not a static game, is it? It keeps
not,
moving.
and it's just played so much more aggressively than it was. When you go right back to the first few series, when you think about the very first season, or season 2 in Australia, or 3, I think it was in Africa, wherever they were, and just think how they were played and how it's played these days and how aggressive it gets right from the start. It's just evolved and developed and just become this quite amazing thing. So for them to come back, I guess it's just the challenge of it and the thrill of it, and the thrill of being part of something that continues to change and evolve over time. So I have the utmost respect for anyone who wants to play this game once, let alone 4 times.
Now, what this particular episode is about, this is part 2 of our preview. So we're going through all the castaways, and because as you probably know, Game Changers features all returning castaways. So these aren't blank slates. These are all people that we know before in the past and how they've played the game. And so we're still talking about what they were known for and how we think that they might go in this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also something different that we'll do in this season as well is something that we like to call Survivor Fantasy League. Yeah, Survivor Fantasy League.
Yes. This is going to be such good fun.
I certainly hope so, because I spent ages doing that audio bumper, so it better be fun.
Well, that's very good. If nothing else, that's great. Great sound effect.
That's right. No, all that this is about is that Craig and I, we're gonna choose our draft picks, our fantasy picks of the team that we would like out of these castaways on this Survivor. And as the season goes, you can follow along as well, because we'll post the link to the league so that you can see all the points. But all the castaways, they'll get points allocated to them depending on how they've gone, have they won challenges, how many confessionals they've had, all kinds of things like that. And we'll see who between us will be the sole survivor, I guess. But
it's our way of playing the game, isn't it?
As we sit at home in our comfy armchairs,
exactly, enjoying it.
And we will have some special guests playing the league with us as well, so we're excited about that. So once that gets underway, we'll let you know who those people are.
Looking forward to revealing that. That'll be great fun.
Now let's get back to these castaways.
So part 2 of this amazing cast, and boy, we've got a giant of the game to start with, Malcolm. Yeah, I mean he's one of the all-time legends of this, isn't he? Really.
What
I think he is.
What makes you say that he's a bit of a I know he's a very likable, athletic, physical sort of a guy, and is very popular with the Survivor audience too, the fans, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I guess he probably one of the most popular players to ever participate. He famously did 2 seasons back to back. I think there was 10 days between them. Between Philippines and Caramoan.
Was he probably the first person to do a back-to-back almost?
Might have been, not sure about that, but possibly. But he'd gone to day 38 in the first season, where he ran 4th, and then he had literally less than 2 weeks off, and he was back in Caramoan, in basically an all-stars season, where as he arrived, I remember there were some quizzical looks like, who's this guy? Because his season hadn't actually gone air at that point. So a lot of people didn't actually know him.
So he had that advantage, didn't he? That's right.
Did, yeah. So that was pretty interesting. But he came back as one of 10 fan favourites of that one. And he made it, as I said, he came 9th made it to day 30. So he's played 68 days of Survivor, which is quite a bit of experience.
It is.
He's he's great at finding idols. He's a great challenger and performers. We talked in the last podcast about a standoff he had with Andrea while looking for an immunity idol once.
That's right.
He'd found the clue. She got wind of it, and this funny standoff happened in the jungle. I can't remember who won that battle. Look, it's great to see Malcolm back before his third season.
And I think you were saying on part one, you were saying that he had been on Bold and Beautiful. Is that right?
Yeah, he was a character on the Bold and the Beautiful.
And it wasn't just one episode, was it?
I don't think so. Well, I don't watch Bold and the Beautiful, but I believe he was.
Come on, Craig.
No, I don't. No, I believe he played on. I think he played a character called Malcolm. Funnily enough.
Well, the next person is someone that you probably aren't too familiar with, are you, Craig?
Not really, to be honest, because I didn't see much of the last season, Millennials and Gen X.
Well, Michaela, who is the next person that we'll be talking about, she was actually one of my favourite characters on the last season.
Yep.
And
is she also competing back to back then?
She is, isn't she?
She must be. Yeah,
she is. That's right. And she was a very tough customer. She was both mentally tough and physically tough. I can still recall some challenges where she was very decisive in certain challenges.
Yeah.
And she was also that sort of person that certainly didn't suffer fools either. And so if someone said something stupid,
fun.
Yes, exactly. Well, so if someone said something just completely stupid or something,
so she'd call them out on that.
Yeah. Whereas most people would just let it go, and she would just roll her eyes and she would just say something and just nail that person straight away, which made great TV. It was very funny. But the problem with that is that I don't know, she often rubbed people the wrong way because she was just so so abrasive.
Which would
sometimes.
explain why she was voted out on day 20.
Yeah, and I don't think she was being mean or anything. She was just brutally honest, and she would call someone out if she thought.
Spade.
Yeah, exactly. And for instance, I was just reading about some of her background, and she described herself as coming from a low income sort of background and going through college and having a big student loan. Mm-hmm. That she knuckled down and very frugally lived for a few years to try and pay off that student debt, and she paid off $31,000 by the age of 23.
Pretty impressive.
And that just shows her determination to get things done. That just sums up the sort of person that she is.
So that's why she's considered a game changer, because she fights for things and
she is, and
throws herself wholeheartedly into it.
Well, I think that the producers were probably sort of thinking that she didn't really get a good enough chance. That she does have great potential.
Right.
So I hope to see great things from Michaela.
Invited her back.
And she's the youngest on this season too.
Oh, okay, right. There you go. What tribe's she on?
I'm not sure, Craig.
I'm just going to look at my notes. She's on Mana, the red tribe.
Now, one of the other Survivor greats.
Oh, he really is one of the... He'd have to be top 3, wouldn't he? Aussie?
Well, he's basically Aquaman, isn't he?
He is Aquaman, yeah.
He's the Aquaman of Survivor.
Yep.
He was amazing to watch in challenges. He did things that no one ever thought of doing. Basically, in some of those water challenges, he was just unstoppable.
He's probably the best swimmer I think that they've ever had on the show. And just a fun fact outside the game, he apparently can dive to 30 feet and hold his breath there for 3 minutes, which is pretty impressive. So he's played 104 days of Survivor.
Wow, 3 seasons.
He was the 5th to make it to 100 days in the history. So he's back for his 4th series. He's 35 now though, so he's older than he was when he first played. He first played all the way back in Cook Islands, where he came second, but won the car.
Were they still doing the cars back then?
Yeah,
were they?
They were. Yep.
Ah.
Then he went to Micronesia. In fact, it looks like his entire Survivor experience has been in the South Pacific, because he's played Cook Island, Micronesia, South Pacific, and now Fiji.
Yep.
But so Micronesia... So Cook Islands came second, won the car. Micronesia came 9th and was voted out with a hidden immunity idol in his possession. Gee, you don't want that to happen too many times. South Pacific, he came 4th after being voted out 3 times, but managed to get off Redemption Island because of his challenge prowess. Narrowly missed the final tribal council, but won the fan vote. So he's very popular.
No, well, he's got one of the records for the most individual immunity wins in a single season,
Right. Okay.
tied with Colby, Tom, Terry, and Mike, who are all legends in their own right as well.
That's an impressive list of people, isn't it? How many was that?
I think it was 5 or 6.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a huge feat, obviously. When he was in the Cook Islands, now that season was the one where they had split the tribes up according to their sort of ethnic background, I guess, was the way.
Right.
So he was on the Hispanic tribe, I guess. So they had like a Hispanic tribe and African American and Asian and so on, and he was on the Hispanic tribe on that one.
Okay.
And so
he's renowned for making fake idols as well, which is I guess his game changer ability. But perhaps his Achilles heel maybe is maybe the social game. So amazing physically, very, very threatening when it comes to his physical ability and challenges and his ability to get individual immunities, but perhaps hasn't quite mastered.
No, I felt that
the social game to get him all the way to the end and then get the votes.
No, I felt that he wasn't quite liked enough by by the other castaways at the end. But he's certainly got a good chance. But I'm not sure what sort of a target he'll have on his back. Just as being he is someone that they want to keep around until the merge and then try and get him out as soon as possible after that.
Exactly.
Really,
because he becomes a threat to individual immunities, and it's just hard to get rid of him after that point. It's going to be really interesting to see Aussie because he hasn't played for a while. I can't remember when was South Pacific, but it's quite a few years ago now.
Well, season 23 must be about 5 years ago if they do 2 seasons a year roughly.
So we haven't seen Aussie for a while, and as I said, he's a little bit older now, so he's not the really young guy that he was when he played those previous 3. So going to be fascinating to watch Aussie this time.
That's right. Now, someone else, Sandra, next person.
Another legend of the game.
She is.
The only person to win twice.
That is amazing.
It is amazing.
And it's especially amazing given that she's the first sole survivor not to win an individual challenge too.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be, yeah.
Yeah, because she's not... she wasn't really a sort of physically dominating type sort of a player at all.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of the reason why she got so far each time was that people didn't really see her as a threat. But she was able to sort of navigate through these different alliances and sort of keep her hopes alive. And I think people just didn't really realise that she was this threat, and she just ended up at the end of the game having made lots of friends along the way and get the votes at the end.
I can see that happening. I can see it all. I'm trying to think of the right word here, but I mean the fact that she's won it twice shows that her strategic ability is pretty amazing. I can understand you that working for you once with a bit of luck. But to pull it off twice just shows that she has a real strategic ability, excellent social play and connections, and just knows how to get away and just knows how to turn on alliances and flip them on their head and make moves and do all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be. Can she do it a third time? Wouldn't that be incredible? That would be truly incredible, I think.
Yes, it would be, but it's been a long time since the last one because she played season 7 Pearl Islands, then season 20 Heroes versus Villains. So it's been even longer since she was on than Aussie was that we were just talking about before.
And she was present for a fairly epic moment in Survivor. So she was on the beach for the Johnny Fairplay grandmother incident.
Ah, she was on the beach.
Yes.
Hang on. Just before you say the story, Craig, we'll just cue the sad music because it is about Johnny Fairplay's grandmother. No, well, it really wasn't that sad in the end because she was perfectly fine, wasn't she?
Apparently the show rang her up to ask what they could do, and she answered the phone, which gave everyone a bit of a shock. But she's again, I think evidence of how good she is that she saw straight through what was going on.
Oh, did she?
She saw straight through it.
At the time she did?
Yeah, she wasn't buying that at all.
I thought that everyone was basically taken by that.
When I say at the time, I think it, in the immediate aftermath back at camp, I think she
thought,
was one of the ones, one of the early ones to just go, is this really happening? Yeah. So,
that was a great moment.
That's. I mean, everyone remembers that. That was an amazing moment. So, Sandra, back for the third time. potentially make it 3. I'd say the odds are against her, but we've written her off before, so good luck.
Now, the next person is Sarah. Now, Sarah's only just played the one season before, season 28 Cagayan.
That's right.
She finished 11th.
Brawn, Brains and Beauty.
That's right. That was the one that Tony won, is
Tony
that right?
won that one? Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. And the thing with that season was that they were both police officers.
Yes.
So both on the same season, both police officers. And
she worked him out. Wasn't he pretending to be someone else?
Yeah, that's
And very early on, like day 2 or 3 or something like that, she said, "You're a cop."
Yeah. That's right. And then they had, like a bit of their own sort of secret alliance between each other, didn't they? I think, but I think he reneged on that, or that he didn't follow that through.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I know that Chaos Cass was involved in what happened there. She was on that season. And ultimately Sarah was blindsided, and I think Cass probably aided by Tony, but Cass had a pretty major role in what happened there.
Yeah, so we haven't really seen too much of what Sarah can do, so we'll have to see what she can bring to the table for this season.
That's right. Looking forward to seeing Sarah play. She's on Nuku, the Blue Tribe.
Now we've got the second Sierra. This is Sierra with an S.
Sierra with an S. That's right. Worlds Apart.
Worlds Apart, blue collar on Worlds Apart.
She made it to day 37. She came 5th.
Yeah, that's right. No, she's a very athletic sort of a castaway, and I discovered that she is the second tallest female castaway on Survivor.
Whatever, or just on this season?
No, ever.
How tall is she?
6'1".
Wow.
Second tallest female castaway. So there you go.
Good trivia, Stu.
Now, next person, Ty. Ty is a more recent player.
Everyone's favourite gardener.
Oh, he's great. He was such a spiritual sort of a guy, and I don't think that we haven't really had a character like him before on Survivor. I don't think, have we?
No.
He was a very unique character.
He made it. He was, and he made it all the way to the end. He played an emotional game at times. I think he was seen as very haphazard, a bit irrational. Said some things at Tribal which left everyone speechless and probably shouldn't have been said, and probably didn't work that well for him and other people. But he made it to the final Tribal Council, but he didn't get a single vote. And I remember him being criticised for how erratic he was throughout the game. But
he played a strong first half, and the second half of the season just seemed to fall apart. But he was also at a very strong disadvantage in the final Tribal, because English wasn't his first language anyway. That's
right.
And that's a huge disadvantage. Yeah. I mean, it's hard enough when English is your first language, and you're next to people who just happen to be very eloquent. It's in an
aggressive game, and you've got TV cameras on you. I mean, a lot of people would go to.
That's right. It can often come down to how well you perform on that final Tribal. So
it wasn't all bad though. There was that famous incident at the reunion show of that season when Sia turned up.
Yes, and famous, but wasn't all that well liked by myself, to be honest.
Sia turned up and gave him, I think it was $50,000, wasn't it? For his favourite animal charity, I think it was.
She gave him $50,000 to Ty personally, and another $50,000 to his favourite charity.
Right.
Yeah, so, but which was a fantastic gesture, but she just seemed to derail that reunion show, which they aren't that long to start with, and so I would rather have spent more time talking to the survivors.
I'd like to know what actually happened there. It looked to me like that might have been going to happen at some point during the broadcast of that reunion, but it wasn't supposed to happen at the moment that it happened. Like, Jeff seemed a bit thrown, and
the timing was weird.
Timing was weird, and she was yelling things out from the audience, and no one could hear what was being said. And then she appeared, and but anyway, so he got his $50,000. I was just going to say, on every season of Survivor, there's a survivor who ends up adopting the chicken.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah?
Yep. You must have read my mind.
Must have. And for his season, it was Mark the Chicken. Have we got the chicken sound effect from?
Oh, we do, actually. There you go. There's Mark the Chicken, named after Mark Burnett, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's the Survivor creator, isn't he? So, of course, last season on the Australian Survivor, we had Matt had Chester the Chicken.
He did.
and Ty had Mark the chicken.
Like the chicken. So I wonder if there'll be a chicken. No doubt there's always a chicken. There'll be a chicken on this season. I wonder what they'll call that one. And will Ty adopt it? Probably.
And what will he name it though? Because you can't call him Mark version 2, can he?
No, he can't. And he presumably doesn't know about Chester, so it won't be Chester either.
No.
There'll be a whole new. Looking forward to seeing who out Survivor 21 the name of the chicken is. So that's Ty.
Okay.
Fascinating to watch Ty this season.
Exactly. Well, we've got 3 more to go.
Yep.
The next person is Tony that we briefly alluded to beforehand. He's the police officer who played with Sarah before.
Correct. Yeah. Very well. He went on to win. He was
Yes.
on the Brawn Tribe.
Yep. He was the winner.
He played a tough and ferocious game on that season. Flip flopped and said some strange things and was a bit all over the place at times. He made this spy shack. Do you remember the spy shack?
Oh, I certainly do. Yes, exactly. He was a very sneaky guy.
He was.
And I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way at all. He was just very clever.
Yeah.
He was trying to find out information that was very pertinent to him, and he worked out how to do it.
Well, I've read something. Apparently, Spy Shack 2.0 makes an appearance in this season.
Oh,
no, it doesn't say anything. What I read doesn't say anything about Tony, but I assume that it must be Tony. He's got to be Tony.
Yeah, that's right.
He double-crossed people. He swore on people alive and dead. He found idols. He turned
did
on his
find
majority
idols,
alliance.
Yep.
Formed a very unlikely friendship with Spencer,
That's
which
right.
continued after the game. And some of their Twitter backwards and forwards that have been on Twitter over the years have been quite amusing.
I haven't seen that before.
Oh, it's worth looking up. It's quite amusing. It was he won in interesting circumstances. You remember, it might have been the season where Wu took Tony to the end rather than Cass. Which
that's right.
might have ultimately cost Wu the game.
Yes, I think it would have. I think most people thought that, didn't they? I think.
So Tony made it to the final tribal council, copped an absolute smashing from the jury, but still won 8-1.
Yeah.
Up against Wu, who I think was seen as a nice guy, but I think people saw that Tony had played a much more strategic game there.
Yeah.
Perhaps was more deserving of it than Wu was, despite the fact that Wu had been a really nice guy all the way through and very laid back and easygoing and all those things. But
well, Tony was a very hard worker when it came to Survivor. He was constantly scheming and plotting and everything, wasn't he?
He was. So he's back for his second. He's won previously. So yeah, can't wait to see how he goes this time. Whether he's immediately seen as a target or whether he can go deep into the game once again. He's on Mana Tribe. He's red.
Did you know that he was one of 7 sole survivors who won the game without winning individual immunity?
Did not know
now, that is amazing.
That is.
So it must have been Sandra, obviously, who we spoke about before.
Yeah, presumably she's one of them as well.
Yes, that's right. So
the other 5 would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
another good stats, Stu.
Now, who's next, Craig?
Troy Zan Robertson, who must be one of the oldest on this season. He's 55.
He is the oldest. That's right. Well done.
Okay, all right, there you go. So he was on Survivor One World, which was season 24, filmed in Samoa, which we know very well from the last Australian series that we've seen here. That was the Gender Tribes season, where they each tribe was given clues to their starting location. They all ended up living on the same beach. Remember that?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
What else happened that season? That was the season where Colton was evacuated with appendicitis.
Oh, Colton.
Yeah. But Troy Zan ultimately navigated his way to come 8th and became the 5th member of the jury on day 30.
Yeah, I can't really recall too much of Troy Zan's game, actually. It's, it's... I guess he...
I remember him being involved in a few blindsides along the way.
Yep.
But like you, he's not a strong... I don't have a strong marker of Troy Zan in my mind from my Survivor watching.
No. We'll have to see how he goes in this season.
He certainly did a couple of blindsides. I didn't realise this till recently, but he was apparently on the list for the public poll that decided the cast of Survivor Cambodia, but wasn't one of the ones ultimately chosen in the end.
Right.
But so he's on Mana. He's playing in red.
Very good. That brings us to the last person,
The final member of Nuku Blue Tribe.
Yes, Zeke. Now Zeke was he was just on the last season of Survivor, season 33, Millennials versus Gen X.
So another one playing back to back, I guess, with
Michaela. That's right. He did fairly well. He made the jury, finished 9th. He was a very likable survivor. He played a strong social game. He was sort of known for wearing these really loud Hawaiian shirts all the time and so on. And but he was always busy as well. He was always willing to make moves. He was often the one that was making decisions on strategy and things like that, and trying to work out alliances and so on. So he was always very, very active doing that.
Okay.
He is definitely one to watch. But also there was a great scene that they had in that final in that last season of Survivor that he was involved with, that he had won a challenge with another survivor, Brett, and Brett was an older police officer from Boston. Gen
X, presumably.
Exactly.
Because Zeke was a millennial, right?
Exactly. And so you think that these two people are pretty, poles apart, in lots of ways, but they won this challenge, and they had this big DNM on
was it like a reward challenge when
on
they
the beach and so on? Yeah, and something like that. And now Zeke was is a openly gay person, and they were having this discussion about that, and Brett comes out as being gay himself, that he hadn't told anyone beforehand.
Oh my gosh.
And he'd only really sort of told close friends, I think, beforehand and so on. But he was sort of explaining how back in his day, in his generation, people didn't talk about those sort of things, or and Zeke was blown away because he was from a younger generation where it wasn't such a big deal to sort of keep something like that secret, and so these two people bonded over that, whereas previously they hadn't really seen eye to eye, and it was a very good scene, actually.
Did one of them end up blindsiding the other? Is that what ultimately happened?
I can't remember the details of that one, actually, but it was good. So I'm glad Zeke's back, and I hope he does well in this season.
Righto. Good luck, Zeke.
Well, that brings us, I think, to the end of this part two of our preview.
We're ready to go.
We've done
the preview. We just got to wait for it to come on TV now.
Now, I think the first episode is actually a double episode.
It is. Yep.
We don't know. I think we don't know, do we? If that means there's going to be two eliminations or two.
No, don't
two
know
people
yet.
voted off. We don't know.
So we know in Australia it's on Go, isn't it? Channel 9 Go, 7:30 Thursday night.
Yep.
So it goes to air in the US Wednesday night US time, which is about lunchtime in Australia.
Yep. So
we get it just 6-7 hours.
It's obviously fast tracked again, which is great.
Yep. So we're away. Very exciting.
Episode 500. So we'll see if they do anything special for that.
Yep. Looking forward to that as well.
Well, thanks again, Craig, and thanks for running through all those names with me.
No worries.
Looking forward to the next episode.
It's going to be fantastic, and we'll be here to talk about it.
No worries. See you then.
See you next time. Bye.